Thank you for tuning in. Thanks, big part of our program. Here we are together again on the radio. And this from the Night Ridder newspaper chain. Mothers may rule the roost at home, it says here. But keep the word mom off your resume. And watch the mom talk when you're at work. That might be some people's conclusions after learning the provocative findings from a small study of undergraduates' attitudes conducted at universities in Kansas and New Jersey. The study compared stereotypes of working mothers and fathers with workers without children. And the results are not good for working mothers. Turns out they are less likely to be hired than childless men, women, and working fathers. And when it comes time for promotions or pay raises, working mothers are held to a higher standard. For people like Jill Matthews, the findings ring true. Matthews, a San Jose mother of two, says she downplays her role as a mother to be taken seriously at her sales and marketing job at a software company. There, colleagues talk about a working mother who can cut back her hours as, quote, doing the mom thing. Okay. Matthews, 39, says, I have to portray myself as a superwoman. If it does come out that I have kids, I am careful not to say how stressful things are at home. Good. We don't want to hear about it. You voted for that lifestyle, not us. And it says here, as Matthews interviews for another sales job, her friends advise her not to mention until late in the interview process that she drops off her two children at daycare every day. She says there's a perception that if you have small children, you're going to have trouble getting here on time. Isn't that frequently true? You bet it is. To uncover latent attitudes about working mothers, the authors of the study gave 196 participants the same resume for an applicant for an entry-level job as an immigration lawyer. Half of the participants received resumes with a male name, half received ones with female names. Half of the resumes identified the applicant as single with no children, and the other half said the applicant had 2 children and was married. Parenthood signaled that the applicant, male or female, was less available for work. Probably true, wouldn't you say? And less committed to the job compared to the applicant without children. Generally true, wouldn't you think? But the participants penalized the mothers and not the fathers. For example, they were less likely to want to hire the mothers and less likely to see the mothers as good candidates for promotion than fathers or childless applicants. Fathers, in contrast, were as likely to be hired as childless men and as likely to be considered good candidates for promotion. That's because most guys with kids have a woman to take care of those kids. Bottom line, a woman who herself is less likely to show up for work because she has to stay home and take care of the kids. Duh. Kathleen Fagan, the study's co-author and an assistant professor of psychology at Ohio State University, said people see more negative consequences of hiring a mother. Mothers are expected to be the primary caregivers, and employment takes a back seat to that. Bing, bang, boom. Again, this is another study, this one published in the December issue of a publication called the Journal of Social Issues. And it says here that it may confirm perceptions of many working parents that there is a bias in the workplace against parents, particularly mothers. When he decided to take a short leave to be with his son, 31-year-old Todd Berkowitz says he received only encouragement from his fellow employees. But when a female colleague made the same decision, the hallway discussion was different. It became a big issue, says Berkowitz, who eventually became a stay-at-home father in Menlo Park, California, and a business school graduate. Why is she doing it now? is she going to come back? But Teresa Marcroft, 46, said she's never experienced negative perceptions of her work because she is the mother of a 5-year-old. And the story goes on. Look. Simply speaking, if a woman has kids and a job, she is more likely to take more days off, more likely to come in late, more likely to leave early, more likely to try to delegate her responsibilities to somebody else while she continues her responsibilities as a parent. At the same time, she's more likely to sue the company, saying she's being treated unfairly. And why is that? Because she wants to be paid the same amount of money even if she doesn't show up to the office, even if she can't get the job done, even if she can't travel as much as the other employees, can't come in early, stay late, work weekends, whatever. She'll sue for discrimination if she feels she's being treated unfairly. And unfairly would mean everybody in the office should get the same money, even if she can't come into work as often as other people in the office. Even if other people in the office frequently have to pick up her slack and do her job. So, you can't discriminate against somebody for being a woman, or for being a man, or for being Jewish, or for being, a number of categories. Handicap, race, national origin, gender, what have you. Even religion. But there's nothing in there about parental status. Now, I'm telling you right now, first of all, understand I am not in a management position at this company. I do not handle hiring and firing. But if I were, I'd never tell anybody. But if I found out that a woman who came in here has 1 or 2 kids, is looking to work on this program, I'd thank her for coming in, tell her, well, we had a lot of fine applicants like yourself, but somebody else got the job. And I wouldn't say another word about it, so I wouldn't get sued. That's what I would do. You know what? This show goes on every day. I really don't care if your kid has the sniffles, or if one of your kids is in a dance recital or a soccer championship. Not my problem. This show comes on every day, come hell or high water. And I really don't care about your personal life. I really don't care. You better show up to work on time, and you better stay throughout the entire day. And you better plan on working as many days as I do. Well, you're not going to work here. I mean, there's just no way I would want a woman coming in here who's going to be asking to leave early to pick up her kids at school. Sorry. This is not a family-friendly workplace, as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, sure, mothers are facing bias. Sure, if a woman says, hi, I've got 2 kids and I'm applying for the job, people are going to look askance at her. And why shouldn't they?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
You have got to be like the lowest rung on the evolutionary ladder I've heard in a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
The Tom Leykis Show.
It's Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Thank you for tuning in. Gloria on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Gloria.
I think you're wrong about women. I think women are learning how to manage their family life and at the same time to have a career, and they do as good of a job as men do.
Oh, that's absolutely false. The fact is,
all they have to do is just work and make the money, but women have the responsibility of bearing children, taking care of the husbands, and at the same time...
Which is why they need to stay home more often and not be going into the office and filing discrimination suits.
Well, I understand that, but if their men is able to handle it and make enough money to support their family...
They're not... The fact is, look, if you're with a man who can't afford to have a family, you shouldn't be having a family with him. If you can't afford to stay home and raise kids, you shouldn't be having kids. That's it.
You know what? You may marry somebody who has a lot of money and something can happen and you have no choice than to go back to work.
When you have no choice, it's one thing. But most people do have a choice, and they choose this. And they shouldn't be choosing it. It's not fair to the kids. And frankly, it's not fair to the other people who work in the office who have to pick up your slack when you leave early.
Well, it's not about leaving early as long as you get the objective done and you get your job.
No, dear, that's not true, because the rest of us have to stay there all day. You know what? Have the same rule for everybody. Once you finish your work, you can go home anytime you like. But no, you want to have your own rules. You, because you're a mother, can go whenever you feel the job is done, but everyone else has to stay till 5, 6, 7 o'clock. Not fair.
You know what? That's why there's so many absentee fathers, because women have to pick up half of what they have to do. You know, like you said, they have to go to soccer practice, right? But the father has to be there sometimes, too. It's not always the mother's job to do it.
No one said that. This has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that, I'm going to tell you, and I've told this story on the air before, I had an attorney one time who I was very happy with who suddenly had twins. And suddenly she was bringing her work home from the office. And when I would call her at the office, suddenly, instead of getting my call answered immediately or returned in a short period of time, it took days to hear back from this person. And when I finally complained about it, she said, hey, I have twins over here. You know what? Not my problem.
You're absolutely right. It is not your problem. But I think most of the time it is because the women have to pick up 100%.
I don't care what the reason is. It's not my problem.
If the husbands kick in...
No one forced you to have kids. It's not my problem.
Well, you're right. It's not your problem.
And I refuse to pick up your slack. You know what? Hillary Clinton may think it takes a village. Count me out.
You know what? It would be great if men can have children, too, and that way everything will be 50-50.
Well, everything is 50-50. If you don't have kids and I don't have kids, it'll be equal.
Absolutely true, but you know what?
If you have kids, I don't want to take on any of your responsibilities.
But you don't get to take my responsibility.
Sure I do. If you leave early and all your work isn't done because your kid has the sniffles, I have to do your work. Not fair.
I don't know if that really happened. I don't think...
dear, I've gotten thousands of calls just like that. People saying that that's exactly what happens in their office.
Most probably men call.
Well, of course, because it's the men who get stuck with the work while the women are off heading to soccer practice to pick up their kids.
I don't know. I just think that men have to help out a lot more, and then women can be at work and, you know, do their work as much as the men do.
Why do women need to work as much as men do? I don't understand this.
Because women want to do what, you know, what's...
I don't care what they want. They're also generally the ones who want to have kids, even when the men don't want to have kids.
I understand, but if education...
So why should we do as much work with the kids as you do if you're the ones who want to have the kids most of the time?
For women to learn less than men. Education is for men and women.
Well, fine.
What a man can learn, a woman can learn.
Anybody can learn, but I'll tell you what, if you have kids, you better take care of them.
I do take care of the kid portion of it. I'm talking about the career portion of it. If I can learn what a man can learn, it's not like we have two separate schools where women have to learn a little bit less so they can do a little bit less. So the men...
Well, I think a lot of women are wasting their time in college because many of them are not serious about having careers. They're going to show up at the same desk every day for 40 years. Many of them, they'll work full-time for a few years, then they'll take maternity leave, then they'll work part-time, then they'll try to take their work home, and then they want to know why they're not paid as much as the guy who shows up every day for 40 years.
But sometimes they do get paid more than that, more than men, some men.
Well, you know what? Sometimes man bites dog, dear. You know, it's just the way it is. Yolanda, you're on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Great.
Can you hear me?
No. Can you yell a little louder, please?
How are you doing?
Oh, I can hear you now. Great.
Well, I have a comment to say about that. I actually agree with you, and the bad part is that I'm a working mom.
Uh-huh.
And my thing is, unfortunately, I was forced into the workplace because, you know, I had to separate from my husband. But if I have my way, I'll be home with my kids. And what I do is I always have a backup plan. I always schedule my kids' appointments after work or before work. If for some reason happens, I call either my parents or somebody or their dad to pick them up for me. Right. But I do not expect my co-workers to do my job. I'm the one getting paid for that, not them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I agree with you. Because, I mean, if it was up to me, I'll be home with my kids. But unfortunately, that's not the issue. But I don't think it's fair when I have to do Mary Jo's work just because she decides to, you know, her kid is sick today or something. You know,
and that happens, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, and it's really frustrating. And, you know, and I know this is very, two-faced for me to say it because, you know, I am a working mom, but, I mean, it's not fair. It is not fair, and I don't think a woman can do as much as a man either. So I understand why a man will get paid more than a woman. I really do.
Yeah, well, men get paid more than women because men have to show up every day. And we can't leave early or we can't come in late. We can't, just decide we're going to take maternity leave or just decide we're going to work part-time for a while and then have that job waiting for us when we decide to come back, whenever that might be.
And it's not fair because while you're gone, who's doing your work? Either me or you, and it's not fair. Yeah. And I'm still going to get paid the same way even though I'm taking 2 caseloads or 3 or 4, and it's not fair. So I agree with you, Tom. I really do.
Thank you, Yolanda.
You're welcome, and thank you for taking my call, Tom.
Okay, bye-bye. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Lori on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Father.
Dear.
You do have some daughters out here in the world.
Oh, good.
I just wanted to absolutely agree with yourself and Yolanda. I was telling your screener that I'm so sick and tired of hearing coworkers say, I have to leave early, I can't come in because my kid is sick. I feel like having a child just to use it as an excuse.
Uh-huh.
Bottom line, I mean, the people that have families, either they have somebody that makes enough income so somebody can stay at home with the child, but I also criticize the people that do have children and try to have a career and actually leave their child from 8 to 6 in a daycare center. What's the point of even having a child then?
Well, I know. The whole point of it is just to have the experience of giving birth. And then after that, people go right back to their lives as they were. Yeah, anyone who's had kids knows once you've had kids, your life is never going to be the same again. Never. Life is not the same.
I'm not particularly interested in having children, so I kind of think it's a little overrated. But for those mothers out there that say that they're trying to accomplish a career and have a well-balanced family, it's a bunch of bull. They can't. It's either one or the other. And you can have as many callers calling in and say that they're successful, they've done it. Who's the child with? It doesn't matter if it's with a grandparent or not. It's still not with the family. It's not with the immediate family.
I agree with you.
So that is my point, Tom.
All right, Lori. Well, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. It's toll-free here. It's 1-800-5800-TOM, 1-800-5800-866. A new study says that... they checked and saw about working dads, working moms, single dads, whatever. Number 1 category to be victims of bias at the workplace, working mothers. And why is anybody surprised at that outcome?
The Tom Leykis Show.
1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Lydia on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey.
How you doing?
Doing okay.
And I care.
Doing great.
This subject is perfect. Damn, I work with so many single women, and it's unbelievable how many times these bitches have to leave work because their kid's getting a freaking award, because their kid has a runny nose, because their kid has a wet diaper, whatever the problem is. And I end up having to stay late at work because their stupid asses are making up excuses, making up lies so they can get the hell out of there early.
And they use every excuse in the book, don't they?
They do. They do. I'm just so mad right now. I'm kind of nervous. But I'm so mad because, Tom, I end up having to stay late. I just don't understand it. I don't understand why they hire these chicks with kids.
I think they're afraid of being sued. Now, you're telling us, you're confirming what I said earlier, that you have to do extra work to make up for the women who leave early to take care of their kids. We
do. And then we're screwed either way, because if these stupid bitches don't work, then they're going to go on welfare, so we end up having to work to take care of them, too, on top of... I'm sorry. On top of taking care of their damn kids.
You're pissed off.
I'm pissed.
Hang on a second, Lydia. Tanya, what did you want to say to Lydia?
I want to tell her that there's a huge difference when you work in an environment that she obviously works with, which was with a bunch of lowlifes, and a professional environment. When you work in a professional environment, you have more at stake, and you come to work, no matter how many children you have. I do work in and the people that I'm exposed to have their children and come back a week later because that's how dedicated they are to work. But when you're pushing paper and stamping a receipt sign on it, how anybody can do that, honey? And I'm in the market to you, moron. Yeah, stamping forms. No, I can tell by the way you're talking. And what are you as a human? I'm a human resources professional. I'm a human resources professional. And I have children, and my children are very well taken care of. Yeah, by who? Your mom? Your teachers? Your daycare centers? Who? Everybody else that I get is you, and the person that I can afford to pay. Why did you have them? Why do you have kids and you're working? You should have kept your family at work. I have children, and I want to work. And they're going to get different. And you obviously have not been exposed to a professional environment. And I'll tell you what, Tom, now that the new legislation has kicked in where they allow fathers to take parent leave, you're going to have this turn around. You're going to have a whole bunch of guys taking off, and you're going to see that it's not about who can take off, men or women. It's about their being able to be paid for staying at home. You know, you're an ass. All you knew how to do was pop out kids, and then, I got to go to work now. Bull crap. You know what? I have worked in the human resources. Why are you having kids for 12 years? And I will tell you, I can tell by the way you're talking that you would be someone, if I ever hired you, you would be the person that would be watching my car. Comes home. You're probably you don't even make dinner for your kids. You don't even make dinner for your kids, do you? I can afford to have someone make dinner for my kids and me, honey. You should be ashamed of yourself. Why the hell did you pop off those kids? Wrong. I am not ashamed of that. I am ashamed. You know what? Shame is for poor people like you. I'm not poor. Gosh, I am not poor. I make by the way you're talking, honey. You are low life. You know what you are? You're service. How many vacations a year do you take? Well, do you drive a Mercedes like I do? No, you don't. Honey, whatever you can say anything you want. I can tell by the way you're whatever you want to. You're just a bitch that popped out kids. That's all you did. Everybody that's listening to your sad ass can tell the kind of person you are. So please. Do you still have your husband? My husband passed away 5 years ago. Thank you. Oh, lucky him. Lucky him to have put up with a stupid idiot like you. Yeah, lucky him to have had me. Yes, you're right. Yeah, lucky him. Absolutely.
All right, girls. Thank you very, very much.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show at 1-800-5800-TOM. Rick on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. It starts long before the girls decide to get a career. I have 4 sisters, and between them they have 9 children. And I'll tell you what, back when they were in school, they started getting that PMS thing, and I got cramps, I can't go to school. And, just excuse after excuse, and then they start having children, they get a job, and then they start making excuses, I can't go to work because my kid's sick, this, that, and the other. They call me, I'm laid off from work, being a union construction guy and all. We get laid off periodically. They find out that I'm off work, and then they call me. Hey, Uncle Rick, come bail me out. My kid's sick, this, that, and the other. It's like going, you can't take care of them. Why'd you even have them? I hate to talk smack about my siblings like that, but, really, think about it. It just kills me. I'm glad you're talking about this, and take me out of the big bong yet, Tom.
Wait, before I do, Delia, you had something to say to Rick here. What is it?
That guys can make excuses, too, to not go to work.
Like what?
I see guys do it, make excuses all the time. Oh, I'm tired. I don't want to go to work.
We don't bleed monthly, and we don't have children. The ones that we do have, we take care of. We're the ones that have to go to work and pay the bills, correct?
I go to work, and I pay the bills, and I take care of my children.
Yeah, but I'm sure you call in sick quite often, too, because you got the cramps or...
No, I never call in for cramps or headaches.
Not to mention, who's taking care of those kids during the day?
Yeah, hey, how about your husband?
Daycare.
Yes, and on the weekends, I'm always home with them, and right after work, I'm home with them. And if I could stay home with them, I would, but I can't.
Did your husband go home and take care of them when they're sick, too?
Sometimes, yes, he will, if I have to go to work. And I agree. When I go to work, I give my 100%. I do what I have to do.
That's great. You know, my sisters also do. They try their damnedest, but, I mean, it gets really old. You know, I get a call at least every 2 weeks or so. Hey, can you take care of the kids? You know, I'm not feeling good, or the kid's not feeling good. You know, I need a break. It's like going, you need a break. I mean, you should have thought about that with contraception. You know, well, come on.
Wanted to have
I had enough of this. Take me out of the bong hit. I don't smoke anymore, and this is the only way I get my fulfillment, bro.
All right, Rick, here you go. 1-800-5800-TOM. John on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
John, good afternoon.
Yes.
Hey, got a little biatch for you here. I applied to med school for 2 years consecutively, had good MCAT scores, and couldn't get in. And what really ticked me off is when I did have a child, we went to the pediatrician, saw her twice, and she ended up going out on maternity leave. Same way with the lawyer stuff. If these women are going to get into a profession, they should either not have children or they should not get into the profession, because they're taking spots away from us that we can provide quality health care. And now we got all these women at home sitting on their rears and that have an MD degree or a law degree. I think it's horrible.
Well, I do think that a lot of women are really wasting their time getting extended educations if they're not sure that they're going to want to work in that profession and stay at it. What's the point?
Right, exactly. I mean, they're taking spots away from us when we have an opportunity that we're going to provide for our families. But they go and practice, or they practice their law or med for 4 to 6 years, and then they're done. And now we've got all these, spots in med school that could have been occupied by men, and it's no longer available. And that really bothers me.
John, I understand what you're saying. I appreciate the call. Malika on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I think I'm a working mother of 4, and I think the women that call into your show and that are upset because the ones that have children, they're probably so ugly. No man wants to have babies with them.
Now, dear, how old are you?
I'm 30 years old, and I have 4 kids.
And you married?
I am married, and my kids don't go to daycare. I work it out. My husband works graveyard, so when my kids are sick, they're at home. Every day, my husband drops them off at school when he gets home, and he picks them up from school. So I don't have anybody else watching my kids.
What kind of marriage is that when you never see your husband?
You know what? It's called sacrifice.
Yeah, but is it really worth that kind of sacrifice? You only get one life, dear.
Yeah, I know. I never see my husband. That is true. But guess what? I guess I always tell my friends, me and my husband have the best relationship because we never see each other. We've been together 12 years.
Kind of sad.
And we are in love. We are in love. And I met him when I was 18 years old, and I love him like I met him yesterday. That's how much I love him.
That's because you never had to spend any time with him.
Exactly. And it works.
That's great. Well, it's very... look, I'm thrilled that there's a parent home with your kids at all times. I think that's great. But I don't know what kind of marriage I could have with somebody I never saw.
Well, you have a great marriage. When you're sitting around your husband so much, he's probably going to get on your nerves, or he's out.
What do you do, take vacation when you're ovulating? Is that the only time you two get away?
No. You know what? We actually have we have a great sex life. Quickies are great, Tom.
Well, they're part of a complete breakfast. I wouldn't want to have a whole diet of quickies.
No, that's not true. But he's off on the weekends, so we have our weekends. We do have, we go on vacation together. We spend our quality time together. We talk on the phone a lot, when I'm driving to work, when he's driving, and then I go home, and it's my turn. I go home, and I cook dinner, I clean the house, I do what I need to do. Well, there's a will, there's a way. And these women, I think they're mostly jealous. They're sitting in here calling, you can't have babies, you shouldn't do this. You know what? I have a great career. I would never give up my career. You know why? Because I make a lot of money. And I'm not going to sit at home because, I do want a parent at home raising my kids, because I have cousins and sisters that send their kids to daycare, and those kids are misbehaved because they do pick up a lot of stuff from other kids at daycare. I agree with that. But there is a way to work and be a good parent. I don't think that all mothers at work are bad parents.
Well, again, it depends on whether or not their kids have a parent to be with during the day.
Yeah,
and people who drop their kids at daycare, they should feel guilty about that. You never know who that person is at the daycare center. And you know that many of these daycare centers don't run criminal background checks. You don't know who's with your kid. And you don't know what they're teaching your kid. You're not there to see your kid's first steps or hear your kid speak his first word. I'm telling you, if you go to work and leave your kids at daycare, shame on you.
Yeah, that is true. That's why, you know what, we work out. My husband, you know what, I make more money, not necessarily that's the thing, but he's a mechanic, so he can find a job that works graveyard. And you know what, and I think that people need to use their brains sometime when they do have kids and they want to have a career. You know, you don't just wake up one morning and you're pregnant, you know?
Hang on a second, Malika. Oscar, what did you want to say to Malika?
Hey, I think this bitch is crazy. If she makes so much money, why is her husband working?
I'll tell you why my husband's working, because no man is going to sit up at home and live off of me.
So why doesn't he just get a low-paying job during the day instead of working graveyard when he doesn't see you? I'll tell you why, because he has another bitch on the side. That's why he's doing graveyard.
Guess what? If you're an LA 10 like me, your man's going to do whatever you want, honey, okay?
Yeah, right. You're 30. You're past your expiration date, sweetheart. You're 30 years old. You sound like you're 50.
I don't think so. Let me tell you, black don't crack. Okay?
All right.
And let me let you know, I look good. And I'm an LA 10, and that's why my man does what I want to do. And I'm not, why doesn't he work during the day? Because I would have the same problem of him sending my kids off to daycare. I don't have to call in sick because my kids have the sniffles, or I don't have to leave to go pick them up. I was on vacation last week, and I asked my husband, oh, baby, what time do I have to pick the kids up from school? You know, you could work if you work it out, and you're telling me that, you know, I'm crazy. That's not even the thing. I'm very aggressive. I'm in real estate, and he's not going to sit at home and live off of me. Now, if he made enough money to support me, fine, I'd stay at home. But I'm not going to stay at home and support no man.
You done passed your expiration date, sweetheart.
What?
That's all I got to say, Tom.
All right. Here you go, guys.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM.
Your most important thing is the woman's rat.
That's the second most important thing.
Okay, so what's the first?
Your vagina. That's definitely ahead of the rack. No vagina, the rack doesn't do any good.
Okay, good point. You got to have both.
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show on 1-800-5800-TOM. And on the Tom Leykis Show, hello.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, son.
I have two cousins. They're sisters. One has 4. The other one has 3. Both of them have both of them been arrested. One's hiding out in Mexico. Her kids are with her ex-husband. The other one can't even touch her kids because of her conviction. They're at my aunt's house. And every other weekend they come over to my parents' house. I feel sorry for them all because their mothers couldn't hold a stable job.
Oh, boy. Well,
yeah. I mean, I love my little cousins to death. I love my cousins. But, damn it, I mean, it has to stop. I mean, the only ones who are getting hurt are the kids.
You remember, people don't have kids for the benefit of the kids. They have kids to satisfy their own egos.
Of course.
That is why people do it. They really don't care what happens to the kids. They care about what happens to themselves.
My cousin with the 4, all 4 of them are from 3 different fathers. One is dead. She just wanted to have more.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of that out there, Ed, unfortunately. It's Lydia on the Tom Leykis Show. I got about 30 seconds for you here, Lydia.
Okay, I'm just trying to clarify something you said earlier to one of the guys that said that all the jobs were getting taken by these women that were working for a little while and then stopping to take care of their kids. But then you say you agreed with him on that, but then you say, well, if you take your kids to daycare and you don't take care of them, then you're a bad parent. So...
yeah, I believe if you cannot have at least one parent at home with those kids at all times, those kids are going to be the muggers and the carjackers of tomorrow. Thanks a lot for the call.
The Tom Leykis Show.